Hey everybody, this is Danny Jones, and I wanted to talk about something really important that I think a lot of people struggle with, and that is approaching cold market people, meeting strangers. What do you say when you meet a potential candidate, and a lot of people are scared to death of that. Okay, well I'm going to talk about 5 key questions that can turn any cold market stranger into a red hot prospect in about 60 seconds or less, and it really works. I've done it thousands of times, and the way that I learned it was actually messing up thousands of times just over the years. I've cold market prospected, for years now, and trust me, I've said all the wrong things. I've said all the wrong things in the wrong ways, and I've learned a lot through every rejection and through every failure. Actually came with it the seeds of victory, because just like Jim Rohn says, one way to learn how to do it right is to do it wrong, of course. So you can put me anywhere, completely different city, amongst a bunch of strangers, and I can not only meet them and get their contact information, but I can meet them, find out about them, find out exactly what it is they want, find out their why, and actually get them interested in what I'm doing, and walk away with their contact information very excited in about 60 seconds. So would you like to learn how to do that? I'm going to share with you the 5 things that you need to do in order to make that work. So I've got a lot of ground to cover here, so I've just got a few notes here to remind me of what to say. So I don't really know what the right things to say all the time, but I do know this: I ask the right questions. And if you're taking notes, you might want to write that down. Whoever is asking the questions is in control. So that's something that you always want to remember, is don't try to say the right things, just ask the right things, and that way you can pull all the right information out there. So I've through all this process, I've learned what worked, what didn't, what was natural, what wasn't, and what really flowed well for me. So here they are. I'm going to talk about the five questions to ask. So this works 99% of the time, but you have to be genuinely interested in the other person. A lot of people want to sound really interesting, and that's where they mess up. You can learn that from How to Win Friends and Influence People. Just be genuinely interested. Just I wonder about people. Be very curious about them, and you'll be surprised how warm you come across. You won't come across scripted and like you're trying to get them. People don't want to be gotten. Okay, they just want to meet regular people. So be curious about them. So a lot of people want to know, well, how do you start the conversation? That's something I've learned as well. There's 2 ways that you can start the conversation with a stranger. Okay, so there's 2 ways. Number 1 is something neutral. Okay, number 2 is you can compliment them. So something neutral, you're pumping at the gas station. You can comment about the weather, the price of gas, the food, or ask directions where something is. That's a great way you can start the conversation, or you can compliment them. I ran into a lady one time and I said, "Hey, excuse me, where'd you get your pants? I think my wife would love those." And that way she knows I'm not hitting on her. Okay, that's important to say that for you guys that are married. Make sure you mention that. Okay, so here's the 5 questions. Okay, I'm going to say them, then I'm going to talk about them. The first question is, what do you do for work? The second question is, how long have you been doing it? The third question is, do you like it? The fourth question is, this is the big kicker right here. This is where you know what direction this conversation is going to go. The fourth question is this going to be your career, or are you just waiting for something better to come along? Or you could say, is this something you're really passionate about, or are you just waiting for something better to come along? Or you could say, is this what you've always wanted to do, or are you just waiting for something better to come along? And guess what they say? 99% of the time, you're going to find people who say, I'm just waiting for something better to come along. And that's when you know they're completely open. Okay? So if you do it sincerely and do it naturally, that's what they're gonna tell you. So watch their body language, watch their tone of voice, watch their face when you ask them that. So is this what you've always wanted to do, or are you waiting for something better? You're gonna watch them. They're gonna say, "Oh, I'm just waiting for something better," or they're gonna say, "Oh man, this is just a job." You say, "Oh well, it pays the bills." So what does that tell you? You can learn a lot just for the way that they answer those questions. So if I go back to, what do you do for work? And it's obvious if they're my waiter, if I say, what do you do for work? Obviously that's obvious. So I'm just going to skip to step 2. Oh, how long have you been a waiter here? And how they answer that question is going to tell you a lot too. If they say, "Oh, years. Look at my body language. It looks like I'm pretty frustrated. Or if I say, oh, I just started, that also tells you that I just got out of a job. Why did I leave that job, and why am I here? I obviously don't have that much maybe loyalty yet because I just started. So you're going to pick up all that as you ask them. You say, well, do you like it? Watch them. It's a job, just paying the bills. Or they'll say, I love it. Okay, you watch them light up. You can just pick up on that, okay? So is this going to be your career, waiting for something better to come along? I'm waiting for something better to come along. Or they might say, you know what, I love it. This is something I've always wanted to do. It's pretty rare that that happens, but I'll tell you how you can do that. So here's the big question too. If they say, well, I'm just waiting for something better to come along, and then I'll say, well, if you had it all your way, what would you be doing? So if you've had it all your way, what would you be doing? Or you could say, if you had all the time and the money, what would you be doing? That's when you're going to pick up their why from them really, really quick. They're going to say, oh, I'd love to be a pilot. I'd love to be a gardener. I'd love to, travel the world. I'm just a free spirit. I'd love to stay at home with my kids. They're going to get their why out of them right away just by asking, if you had it all your way, what would you be doing? And however they answer that, that's how you can actually segue into finding out about your opportunity or your product. So sometimes I even tell a story that would relate to them. So if I run into my waiter or a waitress and she says, oh, I'm just waiting for something better to come along, and I say, you know what, the reason I ask, that's the next step. So after those 5 questions, I say, the reason I ask is, and I could fill that in with a story that relates to them. Say, the reason I ask is I actually have a friend that used to wait tables too. He's actually pretty frustrated, kind of like you, but our company's expanding a lot, and he started working for us, and hey, in less than a year, he's making over $100,000 a year. And then watch them light up. Oh my gosh, really? Say, yeah. And then you could say, yeah, it's probably not for you, but let's exchange information. I'll get you some information. Check it out. It may or may not be for you, but if you like what you see, let's talk. If not, hey, we're still friends. Okay, so you can tell a story that would relate with them. Artist, construction, waitress, real estate. If they're waiting for something better, you could say, oh, my company's expanding in the area. And you could say, my partners always tell me to keep my eyes and ears open for other people that are sharp who are looking. And there's a lot of money to be made. Now's not the time to get into it. It's important you say that up front, because otherwise they're going to want to talk you off. Well, what is it? What is it? Well, how much is it? So you're not going to want to get into that. So if this is my waiter, hey, oh, you're waiting for something better to come along. Listen, the reason I ask is my company is actually expanding a lot in the area. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a new breakthrough. And it's probably not for you, but now's not the time to get into it. But why don't we just exchange information real quick? And I'll get you some more information. You can check it out. If you like what you see, let's talk. If not, hey, we're still friends. That's one of my favorite things to say, because it just puts them at ease. Okay? So smile, shake hands, make like a tree, and get out of there. Okay? Get their contact information. We'll follow up with them later. So what if they love what they do? What I say is, that's awesome. I'm really passionate about other people, having their passion. I'm just telling you. But so I tell them, hey, it's really rare to find people who really love what they do. A lot of people just have to do work because they have to pay the bills. And then I go into this super indirect approach, which would sound something like, I go into the same thing. Oh, you love what you do. Well, the reason I ask is, our company is expanding, there's a new breakthrough, there's a lot of money to be made. You may know somebody who's really looking. It's not as fortunate as you that doesn't love what they do. Do you know anyone who's maybe looking for a change that would be interested in making a lot of money? And you could even tell a story right there. If they say no, then I'll say, well, I'm sure you probably want to know what it is before you give out referrals. Give them a card, give them a tool. Invite them to say, hey, I'll get you some information on it. It's definitely not for you because you love what you do, but you may know somebody. And you know what? Most of the time, they'll take it. They'll be very interested. Oh yeah, I know somebody. Get them the information, get them the card, get their contact information, and you got to practice this. Okay? It may sound kind of weird in the beginning, but it'll eventually become a part of you. When I say these things, I'm genuinely interested in finding out the answer to these questions. I'm not just saying these lines to them. Okay, if there's one inkling that you're rehearsing it, or this is a script, the walls are going to go up, they're going to be turned off. Okay, people can smell a poser a mile away. Okay, so just be authentic. So memorize the 5 questions. What do you do for work? How long have you been doing it? Do you like it? Is this what you've always wanted to do, or are you waiting for something better to come along? And hey, if you had it all your way, what would you be doing? Find out their why right away. These need to flow off your tongue. You need to own them. So just practice and be aware. Just be aware and just practice these things. You're going to screw it up, okay? But you're going to get better, and pretty soon you could be anywhere at any time and meet a stranger and make a friend, find out what it is they like, find out what it is they want, and walk away with their contact information and them being actually very interested in what it is you're doing. So practice that. Please leave a comment. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. I've done this for years now, and it just works almost 100% of the time. So once you master it. So, all right, guys, we'll see you at the top.